Welcome, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? No? A little bit up? Yeah, I think it's on. Okay. Yeah, is that a little better? Okay. So thank you all for being here this evening for the Haffenreffer Museum's final program of 2024, Culture in Conversation, a discussion about Iñupiaq life and culture in Alaska. Isn't too close to this? I just have a few quick housekeeping things to mention. And then I'll introduce Bob Purcell, who will lead us with a land acknowledgement and introduce our panelists. The panel will run for about 45 minutes. We'll have some time for questions at the end and invite you to stay afterwards to continue to enjoy the reception. Okay. Couple other things. All right, so there's exits on either side of the gallery, behind you all, straight out that door, and behind this wall, straight out on that side. The ramp is on that side of the building. Also, there are two restrooms. They're both on this side of the building, one on this floor and one just at the top of the steps. They're both gender neutral, single occupancy. So that's the basic housekeeping stuff. And now I'd like to turn it over to the director of the Haffenreffer Museum, Bob Purcell.
Thank you so much, Ariel. It's a great pleasure to be able to introduce our speakers this evening. But before I do so, I will do what is our tradition here at the Haffenreffer Museum, which is to give a land acknowledgement. We actually did this before Brown University established their own land acknowledgement. So I'll read this out right now. Brown University is located in Providence, Rhode Island, on lands that are within the ancestral homelands of the Narragansett Indian tribe. The Narragansett Indian tribe, whose ancestors stewarded these lands with great care, continues as a sovereign nation today. We commit to working together to honor our past and build our future with truth. Our program this evening is part of the Haffenreffer Museum's and the Laboratory of Circumpolar Research's commitment to share knowledge about Native Alaskan people and cultures. It is a rare opportunity for you to hear directly from Iñupiat culture bearers working to educate and sustain traditions, communities, homelands, and Iñupiat self-determination. The Laboratory of Circumpolar Research was established by Professor Douglas Anderson in 1973 as part of his Arctic Studies research program in the Department of Anthropology. He was a student of J. Lewis Giddings, the noted Arctic archaeologist, who was hired in 1956 to direct the Haffenreffer Museum. The lab contains archaeological collections and archives deriving from Giddings and Doug's fieldwork from the 1950s through the 1990s. These collections were made under federal permits for work on lands that are now managed by the Bureau of Land Management and the National Park Service, and that the property of the federal government and the heritage of the Iñupiat people. Brown serves as their long-term caretaker. We're honored this evening to welcome Hannah Loon, Iñupiat, instructor of Iñupiat language at the University of Alaska, Chukchi campus in Kotzebue, and Norma Ballot, Iñupiat, Ivory Collar and Selawik teacher of Iñupiat language, art, and culture, to speak with us about their experiences and life within the communities of Western Alaska. Hannah was a principal researcher for a wonderful monograph entitled In Our Own Words, which I think is right there, published by the Selawik National Wildlife Refuge. It's available as a PDF, so if anyone is interested in getting a copy of that, please let me know and I'd be delighted to share it with you. She and Clyde Ramuth interviewed numerous Selawik elders in 2003 to document their knowledge of caribou hunting, and reindeer herding. Their personal stories dramatically highlight the remarkable endurance, ingenuity, and compassion that are the foundations of the Iñupiat way of life. They are joined here on the panel by their longtime friend and collaborator, Wanni Anderson, Adjunct Professor Emerita of Anthropology. Wanni has conducted important ethnographic fieldwork with the Iñupiat people. She is a co-author with Doug of the recent book, Iñupiat of the Sea, Historical Ethnography and Arctic Challenges, published by the University of Alaska Press in 2024, just this year. It is a first-hand account of Wanni and Doug's lived experience during 8 field seasons of archaeological and ethnographic work in Selawik, Alaska, from 1968 to 1994. It traces Selawik's village history, compares past and present lifeways, studies the interfaces of the traditional with the modern, and explores how specific events in the Selawik past continue to shape the lives of the Selawik people. We had hoped to be able to give all of you free copies this evening of the book, but they're back ordered. So if you're interested in having a copy of the book, we will send it to you for free. Just there's a sign-up list that we will pass around and make available to you. So just put your name on it and give me your address. So please join me in welcoming Hannah and Norma to Brown, and thank Wanni for joining us on this panel. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Bob. I'm very, very happy to be able to join the Haffenreffer Museum today to welcome 2 great ladies from Selawik in a conversation session today. And on my right, Hannah Loon. Her Iñupiaq name is
Paniyavluk.
Paniyavluk. Okay, and Norma. This is Norma.
My Iñupiaq name is Anallaq.
So you get to hear the way they pronounce correctly. So I would like to be the first to open the conversation by providing you with a bit of background about why we were doing the research. Doug and I were doing the research in Selawik. And then later on, Hannah Loon and Norma will join in the conversation. Oops. First of all, you are probably familiar with the map of Alaska and the work of Dr. Giddings. And you see the Kobuk River, where Dr. Giddings started the research from Brown University, and with Doug, his student, carry on the research later on. And many more research works have been done along the Kobuk River. While Doug was working on the Kobuk River, he was thinking that to a certain extent, the Selawik River is a very, very interesting river system that nobody has ever studied. And we got an opportunity to go there to try to find out if we would be welcome if we were to go there and study. And that's how our research started. And also with us being trained in anthropology, when we did the research in the summer in the archaeological excavation, it was always during the summer. We never know what it's like to be living like an Iñupiaq during the winter, or in the fall, and in the spring. And we also, both of us, would like to experience the life there on the whole year life cycle. Selawik, as you can see in the map, is south of the Kobuk River, and it's emptied out into Kotzebue Sound the same way as the Kobuk River. We flew in to Selawik on a small plane just like this with a few passengers, and this is the Selawik airfield not paved for just a dirt airfield. When we went there, this is 1968, people were living in the traditional houses with sod houses, and you can see all the oil drums. Those are the drums for the oil that we use for heating the house. they didn't use firewood because Selawik is in the tundra area, and woods the woods for the firewood is too far away to accumulate. Selawik is also very, very famous for its resources, fish in the Selawik River, the sea, the Iñupiaq word for this Selawik River is Sea River, S-I-I, Sea River, which is the title of my book in the title. So you can see that one housewife who has been very hardworking, having all the fish drying in the sun during the summer. The main type of fish were the sea fish and the whitefish and the pike. And Selawik is known especially for the sea fish, which can be really this big, and it tastes very, very delicious. Whereas on the Kotzebue River, they are known for the salmon. So these are the two distinguishing subsistence lifestyle of the two rivers. But the people of the two rivers were in close communication and close contact with each other, with people from one village marrying their spouses from the villages close by, across from the Kotzebue, and vice versa. And then the house, you can see the dogs. Nowadays, by the time we went there, the dogs were kept only in houses that raise dog teams during the celebration season, like during Christmas and Thanksgiving also, right? Yeah. Another sod house, the old traditional sod house. Actually, it's really, really very, very warm because half of it is subterranean. And some of the people, our closest neighbor, he even pushed a lawnmower on top of his roof. It's a very, very funny sight to see something like that. A man coming back from hunting with a few caribous in his sled. So the men's subsistence lifestyle is based on caribou hunting, while the women is for the women is fishing. All ladies in Selawik were very, very lovely to talk to. They were very, very kind and always very generous with their information. And for me, I enjoy working with them. And Doug and I had a separation of labor. Doug would be working with the men, and old men and young men, and he would. I couldn't go hunting with the men, whereas Doug could go hunting with the men. Whereas with me being a woman, I usually stuck around with the women while they were cutting fish and talk to them, learn about how they cut their fish, taking their photographs, and also working with the old people and the children. This is another lady cutting, look like a cheefish, right?
Yes.
Oh, forgot you can see from here, yeah. And another lady.
She's cutting
Yes.
pikes.
Oh, that one is pike.
Yeah.
Huh.
The pike have teeth.
Uh-huh. Sharp nose and sharp nose. Another hardworking ladies, fish rack. Children, very, very cute. And when I was we were taking their photos, we didn't know their names. And Hannah is going to try to find, who they are from these photos, because that was 1968. That was a long, long time ago. Also, another group of children. These are the kids from the family that we were very close with, and so we communicate with them and play around play with them a lot, and we were visited with each other's houses a lot, and so too bad that I think that one on the top passed away, and so Roberta, another group of children during the winter time. And as you can see, the fish rack at the back, this is Selawik River during the winter time when it's completely frozen, and the river became the Arctic highway with people crossing over and snowmobiles going all along the river. Children playing as soon as the snow started to accumulate, and they would find all kinds of play activities to entertain themselves. This is me and the two kids living next door, and Doug's sled, that his very first and only sled that he bought, he built and he learned it from in the school workshop. He would like to bring it back to the Haffenreffer Museum, but it was so big, and it was so difficult to put it on the plane unless he disassembled it, but it ended up being sold to somebody. I would like you to see Selawik during the winter. It looked a little bit desolate and cold. It was cold. The year 1968, when we stayed, it went down to minus 50 Fahrenheit. It's very cold. And I was dressed in 8 layers of clothing, and that's the only way to stay warm. Wintertime, how do we live? And with us too, the river was frozen. This is the only way to get the drinking water, by punching a hole in the river and as deep as you could, and then starting getting the water up. So the house we live in is yurt. It's the yurt, and we had one person, a graduate student from Harvard University, who built a yurt, and he would like to experience seeing a life in Iñupiaq village, and he volunteered to go and build a yurt for us, and so we quickly accepted his offer because we were embarrassed to ask somebody else in Selawik to build a house for us, because with the Iñupiat, everybody to be self-sufficient, and we were too embarrassed to appear as if we were so helpless we couldn't even build our own house. And that didn't build anything beyond a matchbox in the grade school, and so we welcomed the offer from the graduate student. You see that on the left, and the two were our close neighbor, and the gentleman on the left-hand side became Doug's teacher and hunting partner, Arthur Skin, whom we also dedicate the book to, and his wife on the right-hand side. So the next one. So second stage of the yurt that Doug built in the following summer to gain more living space, because the space that you saw earlier with just one room, and everything is a bedroom, dining room, a study room, and the outer space we use it for storing food, for storing the sled and gasoline, and including guns, right? The midst of the winter, and so. Is there a tunnel entrance? here you can see where that antler sticking up on top of the roof, and there's a door. So we actually have to dug out from inside after the snowstorm. And that's the one thing that we were taught. We in the winter always go to bed with a shovel. Never leave your shovel outside or else you won't be able to get out. Because the first snowstorm, our neighbor came to us and in the snowmobile, he said, I came to make sure that you can get out of the house. And so we crawled out of that hole there. We also ran a field school for high school students of Selawik 1 year in the year 1981. And it was a fun project because this is something we have never done before. And with Doug's excavation on the Kobuk, Doug took along students from Brown University, but we had never tried it with the high school students. And the principal of the school was very cooperative, and he signed up the students for us. And these are the school, the site that Doug selected just across the river, across the stream from our place. It used to be the location of the first school in Selawik. And this is also with the intention of teaching the students that history lives in their own village. You don't have to go very far. And so you can learn your own history from excavating an archaeological site in the village. We also taught them how to do catalogs. And then later on, we put up the exhibit of what the artifacts we found in the school gym. And the people in the village later on had the chance to go and see what were found from the field school. Selawik, in this photo, has a different look. And this happened after Robert Kennedy, brother of JFK, went to Alaska and saw people living in semi-subterranean houses and decided they should have modern housing. And the modern housing, this was brought in, and you can see it was laid in the Greek-like pattern with a lot of pipes, and the pipes ran from houses to houses for electric water, sewage, and all. And there's also boardwalk on the front to walk from house to house. And also, you can see the location where the excavation took place, where the area is. Our house is just right across the stream. So Doug and I kind of had fun rowing from our house to go to excavate. And the closest site we had ever traveled to.
I noticed that they're not built close to the ground. They're open under the houses. Wasn't that cold?
Yes, that used to be the problem, because somehow the architect probably had never lived in Arctic Alaska, and then also the tundra is very, very different than the villages on the Kobuk, because in the winter the wind was very, very strong. In the winter time, when you walk in, sometimes the house would just shook, and the walls were frosted. So that was one of the complaints after the housing was put in, and the people complained a lot. But these drawbacks were improved later on.
Are the underground houses still visible there? The sod houses are still visible somewhere?
No.
Yes, most of them are. What do you think nowadays? Were they all gone? The sod houses?
I think the last outhouse was what we have around 1979. Then we went to Asha housing that were designed for California housing. And then later on, the construction, NIHA and they build another housing, and they're above the ground, but in the village of Selawik, there's mostly bogs. That's why they have those boardwalks right there. If you were to walk around, a long time ago, if you walk around, it was very dry, but due to permafrost and groundwater, the village is mostly bog.
Okay. This, I hope, provide you with somewhat of a visual images of what the village is like. And I would like to invite Hannah to talk about her own growing up experience as a girl in Selawik, so that you could, if you get my book, you read the experience from us, two of us who were researchers, but you are hearing from Hannah as somebody who is the insider, who was born and raised there, and whose ancestor used to live there for generations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're both honored to be here to talk about our life in Selawik, Alaska. And it's located northwest in the Nana region, or Northwest Arctic Borough. And thank you to Brown University for inviting us here. We learn a lot about the building structures, how old they are around here. So it was a very interesting trip for both of us, looking at the old structures from colonial days. My early recollection as a child was in a reindeer camp on the Selawik River by Napaktulik, and there's a Selawik Lake and Asials Bay by Buckland. Is that Asials Bay? Anyway, other side of the mountain is the village of Buckland, and Buckland people were reindeer herding as well, and Selawik had a reindeer herd. Lawrence Gray is one of them, and we lived in a slough called Napaktulik. I was 6 years old, or 7 years old. I recall hearing, watching the men corralling the reindeer together work as reindeer herders. And we'd play on the tundra. The tundra was our school. The reindeer was our school. My brother and I would go down to the slough and watch grayling swimming. So that was our school, and we learned everything from the camp with other families from other areas, from Norvik and upriver. So our mom passed away in she was only 37 years old, and she bore 11 children, and 5 of us survived. 4 of us survived, 7 passed away. And my dad passed away when he was 76 years old, but I had a little bit of glimpses. So when I think about my mom, I never have a mom, but my aunts took the responsibility of giving me advice from the woman's side. And then later on, reindeer came and took away all the caribou came and took away all the reindeer, and that was a great effect on our region. And Sheldon Jackson was the one who sent reindeer from Russia because of the starvation that was going on, food security in those days. So my dad, we moved to Selawik in a small sod house, and there were 12 of us there. One family, our Loon family, Raymond family, and one elder, George Keats, who was a reindeer herder, and my dad. But my dad liked to live out there, so he did some trapping on the Kugrok River, way upriver, or go hunting to Kugrok River too, sometimes being away for 2 weeks just to hunt caribou, 80-mile radius on the upper Kobuk, on the Dagravik headwaters of Selawik River. And then we started to get big, and my dad built another sod house, so just us Loon families, and my dad and George Keats lived there, and he raised us. And my dad, after fur trading and hunting caribou for us, he got logs from upriver with his kayak and then drifted down, made our grandma a new log house, and then next she went up kayaking again and made us a new log house. Not log house, sod house with mud, subterranean dwelling. Then later on he did fur trapping and crabbing in Dutch Harbor, Kodiak, Iñupiaq. So he did lots of trades in a very short time of his life. And later on he went to the pipeline and worked on the pipeline. So we learned a lot from him, and the BIA sent us children to Maunachkam, Wrangell Institute, Maunachkam, and finished our elementary and high school in Maunachkam. My brother went to Shimawa Indian School, and also my sister was in Shimawa Indian School. Throughout that time, so I was in because when we go to Selawik for a week, I'd go to school and then go back to camp, to the reindeer camp in those days. And then after Maunachkam graduate, I went to, I lost the language, but I sure know how to cut fish. I know how to make fish racks. My grandma was a really good teacher, and places where to get pike, where to get certain kinds of fishes in certain sloughs, and went to college at Alaska Pacific University. It was AMU then, and then now it's Alaska Pacific University. And then I transferred to University of Alaska because they had the Iñupiaq Language Center there. I learned quickly about Iñupiaq, or the Alaska Native languages, through the college. And I started to have kids, and I went back home to Selawik for a little while, but I had to move around quite a bit to employ myself and throughout my life, it's always been developing, transcribing, recording, and handwriting and translating thousands of hours with my other colleagues into stories, what were collected from the elders' councils, whether it be from Point Hope, Kivalina, upriver, place names, birthing. I was the first one, I think, to listen to them and start. And some of them were bilingual teachers from the villages would get cassette tapes and do that also in handwriting, and in Kotzebue, they would enter them into the computers. So all my life is just indigenous knowledge, place names, language, elder advice, and now I'm an adjunct instructor in Chukchi College.
And
Even though I retired, I'm involved with University of Alaska Cross Cultural Geophysical Institute to develop a curriculum for local base for the middle school and high school on snow. That one is complete. It's available online. And caribou, it's almost done. And our next project will be our way of life and climate change, both of them. So I'm now living in Anchorage, and I was living in Kotzebue last year, then I moved to Anchorage for quality of life, so I could, and the hospital was near. You don't have to travel from village to Kotzebue because that's most of the communities in regions will fly in, go into a plane, there's no roads, go into a plane, fly it in and go to Kotzebue and then fly to Anchorage for surgery, cancer, any kinds of teeth and all those. So I'm very happy for this gathering here, and thank you very much.
Yes, and I would like to do a PR job for Hannah. Today she's supposed to be giving her lesson of Iñupiaq, and so, but she's here. And she said that every one of you is invited to register for her course. Right now, you know, she lives in Anchorage, but the students who are taking classes in different villages. So students at Brown University can do the same.
She says she's retired, but she's like our walking, talking
Yeah.
encyclopedia.
One time I had 25 students, most of which were principals of the Ambler and certified teachers from the village schools and Gamble, and one from Kansas.
Norma is also an Iñupiaq instructor over in the Selawik High School. She taught Iñupiaq language, Iñupiaq culture, and carving, and she inspired many new carvers in the village itself. Yes. Can maybe I can ask you with the last question?
Okay.
All right.
We're gonna change.
No. Please, you can stay. Lately, I have been reading about a controversy that the Iñupiaq have been facing within the territory, the Northwest Arctic. And it has to do with something called the Ambler Access Road, which is a road that has been built to satisfy the miners who wanted to open a mining in the area. The Selawik as well as Kobak do not have any road going in. We have to go in by plane or in the summertime by boat. But this access road was inspired by the desire of the commercial miners to go in and harvest the rich resources in the area. And I put up there the map showing the map of the road itself. And I would like to invite Hannah to discuss the project and comment on the project as an Iñupiaq. What do you feel about it? Is it good to have a road going in there? Is it good to have a mining activity going on so people would have a job working at the mine?
I will give an example with the Red Dog mine that is located on the past Kivalina, and it's close to Notak and Kivalina. Kivalina is on the coast, so there is a port there where zinc is mined, And before they built the mine there, the corporation went to the villages to ask, can we put a mine there? Do you want a mine there? And they all of the villages say no. And then later on, through many meetings and educating the local people, eventually they say yes for jobs, because there was no economic base in our region for employment, other than the school district and community clinics, and those were the jobs right there, post office, But I gave an example with that. On the Amler mining, that's been on discussion for a long time, and there is an article here from the internet about the mining, and the corporation decided against the mine. I can't find the page now. Is that you? Okay, yeah. And the BLM, ADA, NANA, Boro leaders went to the villages to build the Amler Mining District Road. And there is a clause here, we continue resisting attempts by the federal government to deny Alaska Native corporations control over our indigenous owned land and diminish our role in decision-making affecting our lands. And we do have a lot of our jurisdiction has National Park Service. My village is U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And there's Cape Cruz and Stern National Park Monument and Gates of the Arctic in the interior. So there's several jurisdictions in our region. And the state too, of course, with subsistence hunting. So the corporations say no because just recently our caribou was 400 or 500,000, and Norma said a while ago they are now 123,000 caribou left. So that's, we missed out, we miss caribou in our communities. We don't get them like we used to during Wanni's time when she was over there. Our position is shaped by decades of engagement with shareholders, tribes, prioritizing subsistence as the best use of our lands, and promoting a sustainable regional economy for the long-term prosperity of the Iñupiaq people. It remains imperative that our communities continue to self-determination over what happens or near our ancestral homeland. And of course, there are upriver, there's ancestral homelands, and food security is our number one. Last summer we didn't have no salmon. There was no salmon like it used to be before. Hardly any caribou go to our villages, only maybe Norma will add to that. And so we have to adapt to other sources of food. And people, a lot of the people, there is a group, Protect Cope, what was that? Protect Cope. There's a group that they collected signatures from our region opposing the mining due to the fish habitats and the caribou migration. And that's been, other than the causes by the climate change also, and times are now faster than when in Wanni's time in Selawik, where it used to be real quiet, no electricity. And I was in boarding school when you were there. So that's why they opposed it.
Yes. Would you like to add something, Norma, in this particular issue of the
caribou.
the caribou, as well as the fact that the Nana disagree and disapprove of the project?
Okay. Over the years, our caribou have been dwindling down to from like Hannah said, from 500,000. It's now down to 124,000. And the caribous migrate through our area, and we depend on caribou for meat during the winter time. And during the summers, we depend on fish. Our background is like our store, our grocery store, where we go and harvest our food for the winter. And because of the Amler mine, it would disrupt the caribou migration route, and with it being the population being down to 124,000, we're now the Fish and Wildlife or Fish and Game have told us that we now are allowed to get only 15 caribou per year. And that 15 caribou is not just for one household. What we do with our caribou is we share throughout the community with people that don't have access to go out and get the caribou. And the fish, we depend on the fish too, and if it's not, global warming, the mine will affect the fish run too. And I think that when Nana decided not to support it, they're now thinking about our people and our way of survival. Before, we didn't have to survive or didn't depend on jobs to feed our family. We went out and provide whatever we needed to survive throughout the winter from the land. And it's scary that, our caribou is now dwindling down to only 124 within the last few years.
I would like to say something. I served on the Federal Subsistence Regional Advisory Committee for several years in Kotzebue, representing Selawik. Even though I live in Kotzebue, I still represent Selawik. And during those meetings and when we hear testimonies, there are always reports by hunters, and in this committee there are hunters, knowledgeable hunters, and they would complain about commercial guides and transporters affecting the migration pattern that used to go through Kayana and Selawik. Now they no longer use that area. They will stay for a long time and not go to us by being out there. Anyway, and one of the leariest thing that most people think on the Amler mining district is with the commercial transporters became guide hunters for bear and racks. We eat the meat. We're not like trophy hunters to put the antler on the wall. We're not that kind. And so they're afraid of the airplanes coming in and out on the road.
Okay. And Norma, you were also involved lately in a project with the Fish and Wildlife, with teaching children about fishing in Selawik. Could you talk and
Yeah,
share with us some of the information?
We partner with the Fish and Wildlife at Selawik, and they work with us at the school while I was working as a bilingual teacher. Well, they're still doing it every year, but we would, every fall, we would take the entire student body, and we called it Iñupiaq Week, where we would take, starting with kindergarten all the way to high school, take them out within 2 weeks to go to a fish camp by boat. And when we're out there, we used to be able to, we'd set a net and we would have the students check the net, work on the fish and dry it, and that would be like first part of September. And during that time, we used to be able to go out and bring caribou to that site where we have elementary students or even high school students that would bring it there. And we there at the camp, we teach them how to prepare and gut the caribou or quarter it. And then we would teach them how to cook it, and same with the fish. And during that 2 weeks, we would be able to dry some of the fish that they had harvested, or we would be able to dry some of the caribou meat that we had harvested during those 2 weeks. And then after the 2 weeks is over, after all that gathering, we would have a big community potluck, inviting the community and the students and staff, and we celebrate what we had harvested within those 2 weeks with the students, so they share the community. But within the last few years, because of the climate changing, the caribou now migrate to our area 3 months late. And by the time they reach our area, the meat is sometimes not edible because of the mating season. And during the fall time, the people are no longer able to dry the fish, like the fish racks that you see hanging to dry, because the participation would be so wet. The fish, even if we tried, weren't able to dry. And so all that fish, or even they'd mold and not even edible for dogs to eat. I remember when that first happened, that one summer, we had no dried fish throughout the winter. And there were some people so desperate to try to dry their fish, they'd start a small, like a try to smoke the fish like smoked salmon. But they only do that in the interior, I think, to smoke salmon, and we didn't know how. So we ended up that one winter without dried fish.
Beyond, a few photos.
Yeah, sometimes for the students, it would be when we were able to take them out, that would be the only time the students actually get a chance to go out and experience cultural activities, because of the parents now working and no time to take them out. And when we do that, we try to incorporate the language along with teaching them how to try to do subsistence lifestyle.
I would like to add to Norma's involvement with the Selawik Science Culture Camp. It was built by locals with fish racks and coffee, kind of like a coffee or dining area where the kids can eat soup and eat fish with fire. And it was a joint agreement between Nana and Selawik School and Selawik Tribal to do that, because a lot of our some of our younger generation, young mothers didn't know how to cut fish. You know, for their survival, they got to cut fish. And also caribou was abundant around there. And now the borough always has a budget for any communities wanting to take kids out to show them how to cut salmon with their tribe and the school, so that money funding is right there. Every year it's always available. And thanks to Norma always being there to help with the kids.
Thank you. The last issue that I would like to bring to the discussion is the issue of global warming. And Norma, could you talk about what you saw about the effect of global warming on the village level, especially Selawik, what you saw around Selawik? These are some of the photos, the slumped. Okay. And then also this is Kotzebue, the big town that is the hub of all the airplanes going in and out of the region, all underwater.
This was the first time that Kotzebue flood this bad, and that was just this fall. Over the years, the storms are getting more violent, and more water is now affecting some villages, like even in Kivalina. But a long time ago, our elders used to predict that one day Kotzebue will flood, and this summer it became a reality. Yeah. And where the water hit metal, all the metal tools and some of their snow-go parts are now rusted. So they'd have to get new snow-goes and
Water and sewer.
hunting equipment.
And their water and sewer infrastructure that above by the lagoon, they're affected too. That's underground.
How's about the caribou and the fishing, the effects of the global warming that you mentioned to me?
The caribou, now that the migration is 3 months late, and the fish that we harvest during the summertime, we're not able to dry. So I was telling Wanni asked, well then, what would you guys do next now that we're not able to harvest caribou during their migration time, and with fish not being able to dry, I have no answer to what we're gonna have to do next if it continues to the caribou population continue to drop, and if the weather continues to stay wet during the summertime to where we are not able to dry our fish. It's scary to think of the outcome. And we depend on caribou and fish because, we can't just go to the department store and pick out what we want from the shelves there. And the price of to get anything shipped to our community is skyrocketing. It's actually to go to Kotzebue just which is like 90 miles from where I'm from, it's actually almost cheaper to go to Hawaii from Anchorage than Selawik to Kotzebue. I'm not sure why, but Yeah, I could almost, it's cheaper to almost go Hawaii from Anchorage than trying to go to Kotzebue from where I live. And Kotzebue is only 90 miles from where I live. It's like, I think the price of gas is the reason.
In my experience in working at the Red Dog as a shareholder relations, Notak River, it used to be high water in Notak River. Now it's mostly gravel, and the barge can no longer go there. And that's why the village of Notak people, Tech Kaminko will bring gas and stove oil in a certain area by the road, on the road, where the local community can buy their stove oil or gas. And 1 5-gallon, $50 in the Upper Kobuk. Also in Shangnak and Kobuk too, right? They didn't have any barge, so their fuel had to be flown in from Fairbanks. The cost of heating is very expensive, and the cost of transporting a snow machine or couch the freight is very outrageous. More than the cost of the couch, the freight is bigger than the couch, the price of the couch.
1 gallon water costs more than 1 gallon gas. The reason why is because they will bring the gas in during the summertime in a barge, and the water comes in by plane. So 1 gallon water costs more than 1 gallon gas. Yeah, and we now depend solely on stove oil. We no longer go out and harvest wood for heating assistance because everybody's working, and it's easier just to go over and turn the knob to turn the heat up instead of going out to get wood. Technology has produced lazy Eskimos today.
Yes. And I'm afraid that the time has for us to take the questions from you. If we have a few questions you would like Hannah or Norma to answer. Your last chance.
Well, I'd like to know if you are introducing the language back into the elementary school grades, or is it working? Are children learning your traditional language or not?
I'm a retired bilingual teacher. I worked at the school for 27 years, and our language is dying. My generation, we could understand what they're saying, but they can't, some of them can't fluently speak it. I think what would work to introduce a language back and get our young people interested in learning our language is if we incorporate hands-on activities to our young kids using our language to get them back interested in becoming more fluent. But our language is sadly dying.
Are the young people staying, or do they go to the cities in lower 48?
There are some that are moving out of the village because of income. And where I'm from, lack of space, living space, there's not many housings available. In some cases, there's like 17. There were 17, if I believe, inside one house. 3 generations: the grandmother, the children, and their grandchildren. So
yeah, it's lack of space mostly that is pushing our younger people out of the community, and for financial jobs.
On the language, when I was at University of Alaska, Dr. Krause, around 1974, Dr. Krause said, in 50 years, the Iñupiaq language will be gone. And we're now in those past 50 years. The elementary school kids are not speaking Iñupiaq, but they know how to cut fish. They know how to subsist and pick berries and do all those with the families. The way of life is very much alive. And main terms like dangerous places and place names, they know those when you're boating or with snow machine. And in Kotzebue, I speak to 82-year-old in Iñupiaq, and she'll answer me in English. So Kotzebue is predominantly English speaking.
Even if we're teaching the language at the school, one child, well, we would teach like 30 minutes per session per child, and when you dwindle that 30 minutes down, within a year, the child is only getting 3 weeks of Iñupiaq language education. Within, you put it 30 minutes per day. For the whole year, you only get, the child only gets 3 weeks of Iñupiaq language. And so it's not working. Our language is continuing to die.
Yeah, the school district's main is they put more into math and math and English. And I'm an example of a boarding school student with finished my high school, very good. But when I go home, it's in the national statistics that most people don't have English reading level of 5th grade. Conditions of our schools, lack of space, technology, all of that to keep the schools open.
Any more question? Last question?
Are there any government grants available to people with technology and fishing? Especially during the climate crisis, climate change?
I didn't hear the question. What was the question?
Can you stand up and?
To help the people with new fishing technology because of the climate crisis?
Is there at the school education part to help to teach the people how to live during the climate crisis?
I've not taught in high school or elementary school. Norma, you have answer to that.
What was that question?
You use technology to help government funding to help teach kids language?
Yes, and in the time of crisis.
In the time of crisis.
Over the years, they've come up with different techniques on how to teach our children about learning the language, but I think we need to come up with something better to continue teaching the language. We now have internet, and our kids have access to laptops, and technology is right in front of their fingertips. But I'm not sure. I think they're moving further away from learning about our culture
using technology than it being useful to learn about our own language and culture.
In other words, the state doesn't fund the bilingual, through the school district, fund the bilingual full time. There are only a few hours a day in 30-minute period, in 30-minute sections. So it's funding and it's funding. But the generation, young moms, we have young moms with children, and that generation, very little use of Iñupiaq language, mostly main things, main emergency things.
I want to mention too that in the past we used to have no problems in taking students out on field trips to go do some cultural activities, but over the years it's gotten harder. We now have to deal with a lot of red tape from the government saying, you know, it's unsafe to take them out, or, you know, legalities that prevent us from taking them out. Yeah, I mean, you know, this is their country, this is their backyard, you know, and still we can't take them out from the school to go to the backyard to learn about their culture because of the red tape that the government has put on our freedom. We can't just, let's go tomorrow, like how we used to, and take them out. We now need to get papers signed, have it okayed, and usually sometimes we don't get it okayed at all. So, but we try.
Yes. I would like to share with you this picture taken by Norma to show Selawik that it can be really beautiful despite of all the bad happenings and the distressful situation about the loss of language and the change of the animal migration, caribou migration pattern, and the trouble with the fish drying and all. So I'd like to thank the two of them, and I'm so happy to have them there. I met Hannah when we were there in 1968, and Hannah was a student in high school. I had the opportunity to teach her one day when the teacher came and asked me to go and substitute, to be a substitute teacher because one teacher was ill. So that's the only claim I can have on Hannah. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much.